Not exactly hidden. If you think that your little display has done anything more than inconvenience my organization, then you're grossly mistaken, little man. The gigantic Agila woman says, hopping down out of her air van and onto the ground as if the smaller van beneath her was just tiny distance and not taller than more than half the races in the galaxy. She's tall, very tall even for her own kind. She's not in power armor, but that would very much be overkill at this point. It got your attention, didn't it? Bike asks as he examines her up and down. She looks like she's just dressed in comfortably and baggy clothing, but he can see the slight pinches that hint at a suit of low-profile armor on. Only her head's uncovered, and he's willing to bet the Kutha bands on her horns means that she's got protection there too. They must work in low energy states as the axiom is still nearly useless. Anything big is just out of the question, and standard laser and plasma weapons will be so low-powered that even garbage-grade, low-profile armor will shrug it off. She takes a step forward, and he's forced to take a step back to see her face past her breasts. She pulls out a laser cannon with a pistol grip that's only a little awkward in her hands. Point that somewhere else or lose it. The axiom may be low, little man, but I am more than strong enough to take it, and I can take the shot of those now low-powered plasma weapons powering up behind me. You've run good defense, but you've lost. It takes years of conditioning to be able to fight in a recently nulled area, and decades to fight after being in the heart of a null detonation. Bike's grab and twist ends up in a short wrestle for the gun before it slips out from between her fingers. She wrenches back her hand in shock and then is even more surprised when he sticks the barrel between his thighs and wrenches the laser handle to the side to snap the weapon in two. You've trained to stand in null. I was born and bred in it, Bike remarks before smirking. You merely adopted the null. I was born in it, molded by it. I only left it in the past year, and when I first felt the axiom, it was electrifying. Yet, it's nothing but a toy to me. She crouches down to be closer to his level. She still towers like a pro basketball player over a normal man. What are you even doing here? Why are you protecting the target rather than capturing her? I recognize you now. You're registered on the Chainbreaker, Communications and Electronic Warfare Operative, Drake Engel. You did your homework. There's only one team of hunters in 100 light years that are null immune, which means you can only be one of 10 people. But the question of why you're protecting rather than retrieving the target is unanswered. This isn't a kidnapping, it's an escape. The girl doesn't want to go home, so the way we solve this problem is that we help her figure out what she really wants, help her get it, and when she's had her fun and her fill, we escort her home. The bounty listing fails to specify a date, but it's very clear the girl is not to be hurt. Bike says, and she sniffs. That's very true, but she'll keep in stasis like anyone else. The difference is that she wakes up in her room at home compared to the majority who wake up in a cell. The Agela remarks and Bike snorts. Ah, that's what you're doing. Stalling is a decent tactic and you may be adapted to null, but there's something you clearly haven't considered. And that would be? Bike asks, before ducking under a blurring, fast backhand. Missed. She pounces on him and he takes the bull by the horns and twists her to the side. Also, I've trained hard enough to hospitalize people. You're big and strong, but I hit way above my weight class. I see. However, she begins while rising back up to full height as numerous laser points suddenly activate and light up Bike. You're not the only one who benefits from stalling. I know you have at least one other of your team here, but you're outnumbered and my girls are entrenched. Now back off. This bounty is mine, and I'd rather not have to hurt or kill a fellow hunter for it. Bike's response is to clap for a bit in amusement and then looking over his shoulder at Morg and Magi. Hey kid, do you have a way back here? Provided another sorcerer stays on Lilb Tulelb, it shouldn't be too hard, Morg Arkun states. Good. Get clear, kid. This is going to be messy, Bike says as he cracks his neck. His control collar fully reactivates and starts projecting information on where everyone around them is. They're clearly surrounded, and then things shift. That won't be necessary, Brinchar says, returning. Then there are 4 more with him, and 4 more with each of them. Apuk all, most wearing some degree of vine on their person, and their clothing ranges from business casual to formal to dancewear to exercise outfits. Awfully wet here. One of the newly arrived sorcerers notes as he puts a tall hat back on. Southern Lilb to Lelb in the off-season. Welcome to the Mushroom Forest Barazgzor the Bladebreaker. Enough with the titles, we're friends here, Baraz remarks before leaning out and looking right down a laser sight that wavers at the strange move. Well, mostly. Excuse me, human. Would you mind if we used you as a distraction? If we can get a dark forest up, then we've already won. But we'll need some time for that. Another sorcerer asks, and Bike raises his arm and gives a thumbs up. Tang takes a shot, and one of the laser sights is just gone with an accompanying scream. I think my friend and I have this handled. You guys have fun with your garden party, Bike says with a grin, and the world shakes before the earth surrounding the mushroom suddenly lunges up and rises to its cap before suddenly being sheathed in a lattice of dark vines. Bike slips to the side and avoids a punch that breaks the ground near him as the Agila opens with a straight before bringing down her head and horns to bear. Bike is not a man to be easily intimidated though, and he matches it with a charge at her waist and actually picks her up and slams her into the vans. He then scrambles up her, and the moment she catches sight of him, he rams a fist right into her eye, eliciting a bellow of pain and shock. Tang's sniper rifle sounds off again, and another laser sight is extinguished with another scream. Scatter! One of the Agila's officers shouts out, and everything dissolves into chaos. Hey, sweetie, why don't you wrestle with someone in your own weight category? Onyx asks as she emerges from the air van with a grip on the back of the Agila's neck. You were very rude to hit me and my adorable little girl with null like that. You girls got the steakhouse handled? Bike asks, and receives a full 3 layers of teeth from the Canador woman in a smile. Fantastic. I'm going to trash their van as Tang toys with their gunners. Have fun. He scrambles up the Agila and leaps off her and into the still open side door of her air van. The interior is expanded, and there are a few racks of weapons all over the place. A machine whirs to life, and he dips out of the way of a plasma burst from a small hidden turret. Clever. Another 3 activate when they sense his initial dodge, and he rushes the first one and dodges its attack for him before melting away from the others. 1 misses entirely, and 2 of them melt the turret. He has no time to really think about his plan as he weaves around another volley and rushes the next nearest. Its shot is a pain. The next 2 miss both him and the turret, and he twists to being on top of it and out of its cone of attack. The next volley kills that one, and he slides after the next volley to be between the last 2. His bright idea ends up with a hefty explosion that propels him nearly out of the van. Having fun, he asks Onyx, who's trading body shots with the Agila as Jade cheers. Another blast from Tang reminds Bike that he has work to do. Plenty. How about you? I think it's time I stop screwing around, Bike remarks as he spins away from the next volley and then returns fire with his rifle. Both turrets are reduced to scrap metal in moments and then melt a bit as the unfired plasma ignites and burns down. He walks up to the one door that leads to the main control room of the van and knocks on the door a few times. Housekeeping. He jokes, and there's a pause. Then the door opens and he's instantly dodging a sword with a strange aura around it. It nicks one of the turrets and passes through without any resistance at all. That's bad. His skin is a fair bit easier to cut than chrome and plastic. Get out! Get out! Get out! The go-bee with the sword screams in a voice of seeming panic. She swings again and he moves in close to grab her hands. He then feels her nearly break her feet trying to kick him through his shin guards. "Enough of that," Bike says, pulling the weapon out of her grip, and she scampers back before sticking her fingers in her ears. Bike's no fool, and he throws the sword away. It's a solid 2 meters away when it detonates with enough force to knock him down, and he catches a glimpse of the Gobi vanishing back into the control section. Both vans rock as Onyx is tackled into the stack, and Bike keeps his balance even as the Gobi lets out a cry of dismay, and a plasma pistol bounces out of the main cockpit. He grabs it before leaning out in time to see the Agila give up on a hold to avoid being bitten. No one wants to be bitten by a Canador. Their teeth are freaking nasty. Tang's gun goes off again, and there's another scream before Bike points the grabbed plasma pistol right at the Gobi, trying to sneak up on him. She scampers away, and Bike hurls it at the head of the Agila. It's got a half-second to bounce before detonating and knocking her off balance so that Onyx can grab her around the waist and then slam her down into a stone hard enough for something to snap. It sounds like armor, but there was probably a rib or two in there. "Come on! Suplex her! German style!" Bike calls out, and Onyx hefts up the Agila and does just that. The fact she also impales the other giant woman's horns into a boulder is just gravy. "Are you going to stop that anytime soon?" Bike asks as he turns to face the goblin, who's snuck up now with what seems to be some kind of supersized hammer that has glowing markings on its side. She starts and unbalances, causing it to twist out of her grip. This time he simply grabs her by the back of the shirt and hefts her up. There's another bang outside before things start shifting, and there's a groaning, sighing sound from all around them. "I think that's your loss, little lady," he remarks casually as the mushroom the sorcerers had gathered around starts growing, and the underside of the mushroom starts to develop phosphorescent qualities in a pale green hue. A cheer rises up from inside the earthen palisade. "Definitely your loss." Well, that did work. I just didn't expect that we would need to go quite so old school about it, Morgarkun says as he takes back the knife and is slowly raised up by little glowing green mushrooms. The massive gash in his right hand is still bleeding freely, but he can already feel the spores of this forest sealing it shut. It's different than it is on Cerbo, but they're in contact. A greater hold together, but more akin to the connection between two separate trees, or perhaps a mushroom and a tree. They are not the same organism, but they are part of the same ecosystem. The bond between there and here is tighter and closer than the woods and a sorcerer, but they are still very distinct and different from one another. Sometimes old rumors and traditions start for a reason. Blood rituals are very old and often unneeded, but there is power there, especially as our blood is part of us. It carries our fire, carries our life, and as we are part of the woods, it carries that as well. So what better way to bless this place with the touch of the woods than through blood? Barazor asks him, and Morgarkun nods. Very true. It's not going to be as easy to come to this forest as it will be to our first, but we will be able to come here. And this forest will aid others in turn. They will be able to come to ours. This is your victory, child. You led us here and you were inspired to do this. We simply helped, Barazor says kindly. I wonder, though, what form of sorcerer would emerge from a world such as this? Lilb Tulub is so very different from Cerbo. We'll just have to wait and see. Morgarkun notes, even as he sees that the spores have grown a crude but effective bandage over his wound. But I am eager to see it.